one of the first things I remember hearing was like, this is going to be like drinking water from a fire hose. I don't know if I said that already, but um, it's complicated. Sleep deprivation is sort of normalized and expected. And I will say that like, I really carried that level of work. Like I really, through my first year of teaching, I talked a lot of in the first episode about like my health challenges that I don't like anymore, but uh I did carry in like a very unsustainable work-life balance in my first year of teaching. And frankly, like they were pretty upfront with that. They were like, this is going to be a grind and it's going to be really hard. And you need to be willing to go home and lesson plan until 8, 9, 10 o'clock on a regular basis. I mean, if you're not willing to do that, then you're just not really going to be that successful in the classroom in your first year of teaching. Whether or not you want to talk about, is that a good way to recruit teachers? No, I I don't think a lot of folks are going to sign up for that type of work anymore. Um, but like I said, I mean, pedagogically, like the curriculum and a lot of the foundations of work, like what is a unit? How do you measure learning? How do you show evidence of growth? I mean, these things really were hammered in pretty effectively and very, very clearly. And I will say, like, as part of Institute, I remember a lot of time, I remember spending a lot of time on the idea of just like developing a very clear vision of what does your classroom look like? What do the routines look like? How are you going to respond if a student like is disrespectful? How do you deliver redirections or consequences in a way that is effective and not overly punitive? I mean, I remember we had these types of real theoretical things that matter a lot. We had a lot of those. We had sessions on those. We had real conversations about those. We had very clear feedback on that. And it was expected that you would turn things around and you every single day you would have a very clear focus. I remember my CMA was really good about this. Like I had every single lesson, I had a very clear thing of like, all right, this is the thing that I'm trying to work on as a teacher in this lesson. I'm trying to work on my listening and responding. I'm trying to work on my narration. I'm trying to work on my like teacher talk or how I give directions, right? There were a lot of very concrete, actionable, clear things of here's how to be a teacher that quite frankly, I do think Institute for me and for a lot of other people was achieved. Like I felt like I knew how to be a good teacher when I was in my first year of teaching. At the same time, there's a really big difference between knowing how to be a good teacher and being a good teacher and knowing how what I didn't have coming out of Institute was like a year-long vision of like sustainability and understanding how things play out over time and understanding how to spiral. You know, there's definitely, like you said, there's a lot of things that you cannot do in 6 weeks. But in terms of writing a lesson plan and in terms of creating a vision of classroom culture and that kind of thing, I mean, I felt like my Institute experience was really, really hard. It was really intense, but it definitely did achieve those things.
And I think for me, you compare that to like what you get at the end of a full year of student teaching in the most ideal senses, it's still not enough, right? There's still things you don't know. Like that's part of early career teaching. The most important thing is, are you willing to work hard, take feedback, and keep getting better and really build that resilience as a teacher? And I think a lot of the critiques of things like Institute with Teach for America are coming from places and often schools where there's a lot more support, where it's like, hey, when we have our first year teachers, all of us, we hand them the curriculum. We have really good behavior systems at our school. We have lots of good mentorships like built in. Like our students are very like well behaved and strong students. Like that's not where Teach for America is placing people. Like I remember, like you're going to a place where like you show up and they're like, oh, good luck figuring out what you're going to teach. Here's 5 preps. I was teaching English 9, English 10,
Right.
English 11, English 12, and then they threw in personal finance. And talk about the irony of talking about a 22-year-old who doesn't even have a credit card teaching personal finance and no curriculum offered. And that was the context. And there was no behavior support. Like I remember an all-call announcement one day where it was like, hey, we've had too much behavior issues. Please keep your students in your classroom. If you send them to the office, we're just going to send them right back. That was that wasn't an email that teachers got. That was an all school announcement. So all the students heard that as well. So
right, which immediately caused them to behave, and
so
nobody pushed back.
You had to learn how to make your classroom good in really difficult conditions and work really hard to do that. I felt like Institute was put you through the ringer to do that, but I actually felt pretty confident coming out of that, and then with the mindset of that's what it was going to take to be successful and hold myself to a high bar